presentations or getting their shopping delivered so they don't have to go to the shops or taking the bus instead of the train. But avoiding the situation will only maintain your fear. By not dealing with the root of the problem, the trigger can then be generalized. By not dealing with the cause of your fear, you can restrict the way you live your life, sometimes to the point where your life is dominated by strategies to avoid your trigger. Some sufferers limit their lives more and more until just leaving their house can induce an attack, and so they create a life that is severely restricted. Avoidance does not work. It may keep you in your comfort zone, but it will never free you of your fear. Don't give yourself the message you can't cope and that you need to run and hide. You can cope and you can face the fear. The key things you have to do to get rid of the panic attacks are to control the fear and not allow your thoughts to be continuously catastrophic. Control the fear. The fearful response we have that triggers panic attacks is different from the fear response that our bodies were designed to have. The original fear response was created to protect us from real physical threats, like lions, tigers, and bears. When we felt afraid, our body would release adrenaline, which got us into a pumped-up state for action. The extra strength and focus this gave us was then used to flight or flee, which was totally appropriate, but no longer do we have the same dangers in our lives, and as clever as our bodies are, they have yet to adapt this evolutionary response to match today's environment. Modern fears like the fear of giving presentations, a phobia of paper clips, anxiety brought on by train stations, and fear of spiders are all situations that don't require us to be pumped up and fit to fight. To deal with them, we need to be in the opposite state, calm, controlled, and balanced. Your body doesn't know this, and that's why you have to learn to stop your body's natural reaction by changing the way you think. If you train your brain to feel less threatened, it won't trigger the extreme fear response, and so the panic attacks will slowly stop. There's nothing wrong with negative thinking. It's simply a thought process that takes away your confidence. So don't judge yourself harshly for having negative thoughts. We all have them some of the time. That said, if your negative thoughts have been taking over your life, now is the time to give yourself a break. Chances are you struggled for a long time with panic attacks. Chances are you struggled for a long time with panic attacks. And they are one of the most terrifying fear disorders. Acknowledge that you're being brave by facing an emotional topic which you'd rather ignore. Give yourself some credit and praise for focusing in a rational way. Now you have in mind these two main factors. We're going to go through the 4-step treatment process. Identify the cause of your fear. Panic attacks are treatable if you acknowledge them and get to the root of the problem. Even if you're not aware of what the cause is, Breathing puts an intense focus on the fear and maintains it, but thinking calmly and rationally disempowers your fear because you see it for what it really is. As long as you learn to control your thinking and keep it directed, you can identify the cause of your panic attacks. Think about your fear when you're feeling calm and in a safe place. Never do this when in the middle of a panic attack, or if you are in a place that triggers your attacks, because you need to be able to think clearly and rationally. When you're feeling ready, think about what it is that makes you feel afraid of the situation. For example, if you get panic attacks when you go into the shops, ask yourself, what is it about the shops that makes me feel afraid? Is it the people in the shops? Is it the buildings themselves? Am I frightened of things in the shops? Am I scared of interacting with other people? More often than not, people fear and doubt stem from what they believe other people will think of them. They think that people will judge them because of how they look, what they say, or what they do, and so they start to think, I'll embarrass myself, I'll do something stupid, everyone will look at me. We don't want to put ideas into your head. If you can, trace your way back to the root of your panic, and you're still not sure of what it is, check to see if your underlying concern is what other people might think of you. Create empowering thoughts without even knowing you. I know that you have told yourself for a long time that you can't cope, and that's because everyone who suffers from panic attacks is well practiced at putting themselves down and telling themselves they can't do something. You have to turn this belief on its head, and you do this by telling yourself over and over again that you can cope and you will be okay. The most effective way of doing this is through mantras. Here are some examples of positive mantras. I can do this. I won't embarrass myself. I will be able to cope. The first time you hear these, you might think, there's no way I can do that. But listen to them again, and then write ones that are specific to you. Once you identify the thoughts you need to change, and the mantras that work best for you, you need to say them 5 times a day, regardless of whether or not you've had a panic attack, or even whether you're going to have to face your fear. No matter how little you believe them, look in the mirror and repeat your mantras again and again and again. Over time, you will start to believe them, even if only 1% of you believes them. It's a start, and everything has to start from somewhere. Say your mantras first thing in the morning, out loud, if you like, and then get up and get on with whatever you have to do. That's less than a minute of your time every day, which is a tiny investment for a happier future. This may not be easy, but mantras can make you feel empowered, and if you're really determined visualize yourself coping. Work out what to do when you're faced with the cause of your panic attacks so you can control the physical symptoms too. In a similar way to training your brain to think positively every day and not just when you would usually think negatively. I want you to practice coping when you're not in a panic situation, and I want you to do this every day until you feel confident that you can do it for real. See yourself coping in the situation. Imagine feeling calm and in control. Use all your senses to work through that ideal situation in your mind and see a successful outcome. Do this over and over again until it starts to feel very real, as if you really could do it. Finally, control the physical symptoms. You have unidentified the cause, started to change your thinking, and have visualized yourself coping and staying calm in your old panic situation. Now you have to practice controlling your physical symptoms. It's very important that you address this. As with the visualization and mantras, you need to practice being in a strong and physical state when there's no risk of you panicking. Here is what we do. Sit on a comfortable chair with your knees hip distance apart. Hold your hands gently in your lap. Look straight ahead and make sure your shoulders are square on and down. Close your eyes, unless you have a tendency to get dizzy when you close them, and begin to control your breathing by counting. Breathe through your nose in for 2. Hold for 1. Out for 2. Hold for 1. In for 2. Hold for 1. Out for 2. Hold for 1. After 4 cycles, open your eyes and do another 4 breath cycles. Remember, you cannot hyperventilate when you're breathing through your nose. Take one hand out of your lap and put it over your mouth, being careful not to cover your nose as well. This will force you to breathe through your nose. Carry on breathing as before. You can do this even if you have a cold. Just breathe more slowly. Keep your eyes open. Otherwise, you may feel too closed in. It's important for you to realize that by doing this, you're not denying yourself oxygen. You're just slowing down your breathing. It will not harm you. It will help. Once your breathing has slowed, put your hand back in your lap. After 8 breaths, keeping your body comfortable, start to say your mantras. You can also add, I'm gaining control. I'm physically in control. I am in control of my thinking. Open your eyes if they have been closed and look down at your hands. Relax will start to trust yourself. And when you trust yourself and stop worrying, the panic attacks will come less intense and less frequent. And there will come a